Have you ever paused and looked at your life, wondering, whose story is this? And why do I feel like a background character with terrible dialogue? It's strange how quickly life can unravel. One day, everything feels solid, even predictable. Then, without warning, the ground disappears, and you're left free falling, with nothing to catch you. I'm 32 years old, sitting in the same bedroom where I once taped posters to the wall as a teenager. The corners of those posters are peeling now, and the desk is still cluttered with dusty trophies and scribbled notebooks from high school. Walking in here feels like stepping into a time capsule, except this version of me hasn't been updated. These old objects haven't changed at all, but I have. A dry, bitter laugh escapes me. This version of my life, the sad little footnote, was never part of the plan. I'm Cali. Once, I carried dreams like armor. Now I'm here, alone, at rock bottom, trying to trace the cracks in my past that led me to this collapse. It started with Noah. We met at a housewarming party hosted by my friend Jasmine. She had just moved into a gorgeous townhouse, the kind with sunlight pouring through French windows and furniture arranged like it had been curated by a magazine editor. Her life was perfectly in place. A thriving career, a glowing fiancé who looked at her like she hung the stars. It all just worked, as if life had followed a flawless blueprint. Mine, on the other hand, was barely functional. I'd burned through dating apps, endured awkward small talk, and trudged through first dates that never sparked anything. I had started to think that kind of love, the all-consuming, soul-deep kind, wasn't meant for me. Maybe I missed my moment, or maybe it just wasn't part of my story. Then I saw him. Noah stood off to the side, removed from the buzz of the crowd. He wasn't loud, wasn't trying to command attention. There was a calmness about him. Dark hair, thoughtful eyes, a kind of quiet gravity that made people want to drift closer. But what struck me most wasn't his appearance. It was how he listened. When you spoke, he made you feel like your words mattered, like he was gently collecting each one and placing it somewhere safe. That night, we found ourselves tucked into a corner away from the noise. We talked, really talked. Hours passed unnoticed. And for the first time in a long time, something inside me stirred. Maybe I hadn't missed my chance after all. Noah felt like everything I'd been waiting for. Present, attentive, grounding. Around him, the world softened. Breathing felt easier. A year later, he proposed. It was a quiet night on a balcony. City lights twinkling below us, and a ring catching the starlight. I didn't hesitate. I said yes. We got married the next spring. Soft blue hues, blooming flowers, vows whispered under an open sky. It was everything I'd ever hoped for. And for a time, it truly was perfect. But then, slowly, so slowly I barely registered the shift. Things began to change. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe I just did. What once felt comforting began to feel still. His little gestures, the favorite tea he'd brew without asking, the handwritten notes tucked into my lunch, started to feel rehearsed. Like I could predict every sweet thing before it happened. And I started to wonder, had I traded passion for peace? Fire for familiarity? At first, the doubt was a faint murmur. But soon, it seeped into everything. In the empty spaces between our conversations, in how often I checked my phone at dinner, in the way I looked at other couples and felt an unfamiliar sting of envy. Everything truly cracked at a dinner party. Someone casually asked, mid-sip of wine, "How do you know you married the right person?" And before I could stop myself, I laughed and said, "Honestly, if I had to do it again, I probably wouldn't have married Noah." The silence that followed was suffocating. I looked toward him, praying he'd smile or roll his eyes, something playful to soften the moment. But there was nothing, just a piercing stillness that hummed louder than the quiet. He held his wine glass like it was anchoring him to the room. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet. But it cut deep. That's good to know. I tried to laugh it off, make it seem like a poorly timed joke. But it was too late. That night, he didn't yell, didn't argue. He simply withdrew, went to bed without another word. I told myself we'd fix it in the morning. We always did. We were good at that, or so I thought. But when I woke up, his side of the bed was cold. His half of the closet, Empty. His toothbrush? Gone. And on the nightstand, placed deliberately beside a framed honeymoon photo, sat his wedding ring. He didn't call. Didn't text. Nothing. Days passed. Then weeks. The silence settled around me like dust in an abandoned room. He wasn't coming back. And the worst part? It wasn't losing him that broke me. It was how effortlessly he let go, while I was still drowning in guilt, spinning in circles of regret. Weeks later, I saw him again. He was in a downtown cafe, sitting across from a woman who looked like she belonged to a world I no longer fit into. She carried herself with ease, graceful, assured. The kind of woman who never doubted her place. And the way he looked at her, it was how he once looked at me. I wanted to walk in, say, remember me? Beg him to rewind the tape, to try again. But I didn't, because deep down, I finally understood. Noah had loved me fully, with an open heart, and I had loved the idea of him until I didn't. Regret doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. It follows you into quiet moments. It hides in the stillness after everyone else has moved on. It doesn't remind you of what was stolen. It reminds you of what you gave away. Noah didn't leave because he stopped loving me. He left because he realized I never truly saw the way he did. So here I am, in the same childhood room that once held my dreams, surrounded by artifacts of who I used to be. And all I can think is, how did I let everything fall apart? They say you don't know what you got until it's gone. That's not always true. Sometimes you do know, you just realize it too late.